And welcome home, miracle makers. This is Dr. Sarah Larson, and you are listening to the Medium Mysteries and Miracle Show. We are live in studio at UBN in Old Hollywood, and I'm so excited that you're here. In studio is my magical, miraculous, so handsome husband, Greg Larson, who is here.
Yay!
We have been manifesting and creating like crazy the last few days. We are in the middle of a move, and so it's been one miracle after another. Just for us to be in studio today is the miraculous. And as we were pulling up and warming into our little parking spot, of course, the magical and amazing co-guest that we have for you. She is so fantastic. She is world-renowned. And we, my co-host and I have known each other for many lifetimes, to say.
I think so, right? We knew each other.
We knew each other.
Before we even met.
And every time I did some work with a dear friend named Dr. Robert Kassar, he would say, "You've got to meet Dr. Grant. She just reminds me of you so much. You're like sisters." So in studio with me is Dr. Parthenia Grant. She is a educator. She is an activist. She's a humanitarian. She is a filmmaker. And we're going to be talking about extraordinary things that she has done and this show particularly is about experiencing miracles when we're traveling. This is about unlocking mysteries within you with sacred travel. And in studio, we have filmmaker, video maker, open your eyes maker, Dr. Parthenia Grant.
So excited to be here to share all of this with you, because you and Greg and your amazing daughter, Jasmine, and son are very much an integral part of my short film. And needless to say, it was a miracle getting it done on no budget and with all kinds of problems that just turned into miracles, you know, so there are just no problems. So I'm just delighted to actually be here with your new show and to celebrate you.
That's so grateful that you are here with us, and it's miraculous. Dr. Grant and I do another show on Mondays on called Divine Love Talk. It's a very popular show.
We've been doing it for 3 years.
3 years, and we enjoy it so much. And so this Dr. Grant being here and making time for us at UBN with this show is miraculous as well. I want to bring to the miracle makers a real understanding of how amazing you are.
Aww.
And for years and years, you've been diagnosed with an autoimmune disease.
Oh, that's right. That's a miracle I'm still alive.
It's absolutely.
I forget about that.
A miracle that you're alive. And
Well,
for
yeah.
anyone out there that's going through any sort of illness or any treatments that they're like, "Oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to make it. What's happening?" Miracle makers, here is another walking, talking medical miracle.
Well, thank you for remembering that. You know, it's like when you walk in the realm of the miraculous, you can sometimes take those things for granted. You know, like when I was diagnosed with lupus, I was getting ready to turn 30 and was literally given a death sentence after being in the hospital for 2 weeks, and my skin was on fire. I looked like a monster, and nobody knew what was wrong with me. It took 2 weeks for them to figure it out. And essentially, because it was systemic and from childhood, you know, they said, "Oh, well, you know, you don't live very long with this when it's childhood lupus, so just go." And I had 2 young kids, you know, just do the best you can.
Get get your affairs in
get
order.
your affairs in
kind
order.
Of death sentence.
But the best thing about that is that they didn't know much of anything about it. And I can say I'm 61 years old and I'm still alive and kicking.
And she's beautiful.
Well,
You can't see her in studio, but she is Ginger Rogers, like Ginger, gorgeous, beautiful.
Well, thank you. But what I want to say to the audience is don't let someone else, I don't care if it's a doctor, determine your destiny. Because when I got out of that hospital, I threw away the steroids, all of the prescription meds, and I just started studying everything I could on natural and holistic medicine, which I'd always been interested in since I was very young. And I decided I was going to try the macrobiotic diet. And if it could cure cancer, well, why not lupus? So, I mean, who knew? And but the main thing is just knowing that you have within your power, and that you have a higher power who can help you determine what your life is going to be. And it's not like I haven't had flare-ups and mishaps, and you were there with me at the college when I went into a flare-up from the stress there. But again, it was miraculous at my age that I was able to recover from
and reverse all of it,
yes.
and reverse the aging, and reverse what was happening in the body. And
it's an ongoing process.
It's so amazing. And so, listen up, miracle makers. When you take responsibility for your life, and you say,
and your health,
and you say, I know what someone else is sharing with me doesn't have to be the truth.
Exactly.
I get to create the truth.
It can be their truth.
Right. That can be the truth of the doctor, the person that's sharing it with you. Their truth does not have to become your truth just because they've got letters behind a name, or they have explored it differently from the way that you can explore it.
Or maybe that's all they know.
Yes. And so today's show, Unlocking the Mysteries Within You, was sacred travel for our miracle makers. And our miracle makers are those that know already there is more to life than what they see on TV, have experienced something and may not be able to label it. And our community is hungry for, looking for, understanding how the miraculous works, what the mysteries are, and what it means to be a medium, or what it means to create your own life and your communication with whatever created us, that great mystery that created us. So can you share with us an insight that came for you?
Oh,
that
thank you for asking. Because, I had been in search of the miraculous my whole life, because even as a child, people would tell me, that's not possible. Look, here I was, this poor kid, in poverty. And so I went from poverty to PhD with no help, working full-time, 3 jobs, putting myself through school. And that in and of itself was miraculous. But I was just one of those people, like my adopted father told me, you're not going to go to college, you're not going to do this, you're not going to do that. And my thing was, well, tell me I can't do it and I'll show you what I can do. So as a kid, I always had this idea of, why is everybody telling me I can't do stuff? So I think just the fact that people kept telling me I couldn't accomplish this or I couldn't overcome that just made me think, well, you're very limited in your thinking, but I believe it's possible. And so I would show them. But in terms of, spiritual miracles, I had been in search of that. And, I would hear other people talk about their, oneness experiences and their, experience with the divine. And so as I was on this spiritual path, I was listening to everybody and I was like, well, what about mine? I mean, I want to have that oneness thing. And why am I not experiencing it? And so it was all miraculous the way that I ended up going to Oneness University in the first place through someone I met at Dr. Kassar's.
Yes.
And they just hooked me up and said, oh, you're invited. And I was like, okay. And in a week, I had a passport, a visa, everything. I was on the plane for 30 days. I didn't know where I was going, what I was getting into. I just thought, that's the land of miracles. And I'm going there for a miracle because I was going through a horrible divorce and I wanted to learn forgiveness. That was the real reason why I was going. I was just like, okay, I want to open up my heart. I want to experience the divine. I know I can't do it if I'm in this place of anger and resentment. And going there with that kind of intention, well, I'm sure I opened myself up to the miraculous with that. And this is the first miracle that I had was my daughter went with me and she was just in awe of that place. And she's running up this mountain and they're telling us, don't go out by yourselves. You know, there are mountain cats and lions and tigers and bears and all this. And so I'm scared to death because she's running up the mountain. Yeah. I'm running after her and I get so far and then there's like this big rock and she comes back and then she jumps down and I jump down after her and my ankle just cracks and I pass out. I'm just like, I'm out cold.
Wow.
And it's just the two of us, right? Two little monks from the university appear. They just show up. I mean, I'm serious. You can ask Crystal.
Yeah.
And they help me get down the mountain, but they leave me there and they make me and Crystal, they're on a little motor scooter, and they make Crystal let me lean on her, hopping my way back, you know, to Oneness University. And when I get there, I can't walk. My foot is all swollen. I'm like, okay, my whole trip is ruined, right? And then my teacher says, well, we just so happen to have this doctor that's in town for the day, and we'll call him. And I'm thinking, some little village doctor, you know, we're out in the middle of nowhere. What can he do? And so this little doctor shows up. He looks at my foot, and he says, may I heal it? Now, when somebody asks you something like that, you say yes, okay? Yes. So I said, yeah. And so he put his hands on it, and he said, okay, so now I just want you to take a nap, and when you get up, you'll be fine. And I thought, well, why not? I'll just take a nap. Yeah. So I took a nap. My daughter was in the same room, and I jump up to go and pee, and I just like, and my daughter hears me, and then she goes, Mom, you know, because she's thinking I'm going to fall, and I'm standing on my foot, and everything's fine. And she said, oh, my God, you know, and my foot was fine. Miracle. And then I find out it's Deepak Chopra's doctor.
Yeah.
Happened to be, what were the chances that he would just happen to be there that one day at that particular time? So I was a true believer that, okay, if you set your intention, you receive the healing, it's absolutely possible.
To have that. That is so beautiful.
Absolutely.
And I know that you also had miracles. So Miracle Makers, what Dr. Grant just shared is if you believe and you let go and you say surrender, it's possible. And you yourself had the miraculous happen. Greg Larson, you had the miraculous happen in India as well.
Ooh.
I did. I was a college student and I was studying in England. And I just got back from touring in Egypt and Jordan in the Middle East. And I was like, oh, I want to go to India for my spring break. And then I received a vision of being in the jungle and seeing this river and being in the jungle. So, you know, I was setting off on a spiritual quest. I was, you know, my college student spiritual quest. Yes. So I go to India, and where I land is in Goa, and it's the driest month of the year. There's no water anywhere. All the lakes are dried up. Everything's dry. It's like, you know, hot, hot, hot. And I'm like, I wonder what my vision was about, because here I am.
It's not here.
And then, you know, I was just going to stay for a few days because this gentleman on the train invited me to his village, and I stayed for a few more days. I ended up staying there for 5 weeks. And in the course of this stay, one day we're out on this adventure, and we crossed these train tracks. As we're going over the tracks, there's this river, and as I look on both sides of the river, it is lush green, like in my
your vision.
Yeah.
Wow.
So in the whole thing, and then it led to this, you know, amazing spiritual awakening, which set me on this path to being with Sarah and every other miracle in my life because of this, what it unlocked within me. But it's, you know, and so I'm trying to, like, what is it about travel and sacred travel? Because I set out on this spiritual journey.
Yeah.
And it really is, you know, I think all of us there's always a calling to explore beyond where we are.
Yes.
And I think places call us.
Yes, and
right?
places call us, because India called me.
India called me.
Egypt has called us last year. Now we're going
Yes.
again this year. So Egypt is calling me powerfully again to go back to the Great Pyramid and be there. And so when we receive that, and we hear those callings, or people suggest that, and we get that feeling within.
You got to go.
You got to go,
Yes.
but what happens is we're comfortable. There's all these other things going on,
And we discount it.
and we discount, and we discount because it's so valuable. Because when we travel like that, it brings us into the miraculous. It
Absolutely.
leads us to the mysteries.
Yes.
And so, whenever I see you a lot of times doing readings in the classes, I've heard you say so many times, "Oh, I see travel in your experience."
And people need to just
Yes.
do it. Make it happen.
Make it happen. Take, trust that the resources will come. Trust that your calendar will open. Trust that the right people will appear.
That's it.
And
Yeah.
step
The
into
trust.
that. Step into the mystery of spiritual travel or sacred travel, whatever that is for you, and step into that, knowing that miracles are going to happen. Forgiveness is going to happen.
The
Deeper.
doctor that you might
Yeah.
need will show
Yes,
up.
yes,
If you
yes.
travel with us, you travel with the doctor.
Yes.
But exactly what you need will show up in that experience. And so, miracle makers, this is so key. If a place is calling you, there is a mystery that can be unlocked.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not only you bring yourself to that country and the country brings awaken something within you. And for me, it's amazing because I live the miraculous. And from a young age, my sister and I manifested. We wanted to give this family money that was helping us. And she and I were walking home from school, and we were talking about money materializing and how awesome it would be. And walking down this New Orleans street, money was floating in the air, and literally floating in the air. We gathered roughly $250, $240, something like that.
That's like everybody's dream.
And we gave it to this family. It was just so beautiful. It's to this day, it still moves me. I got into med school by a miracle, and I went to the third best med school in India. The flight showed up to meet the director. I didn't have the grades to get into med school at the time, but I flew with my dad. We knew the director of this best med school, the Kastuba Medical College, was going to be in Chicago for this conference with Bill Clinton, the president at the time. And so my dad and I just set the intention to go meet him. We met him. He gives me an oral test. My younger sister, had gotten into med school. And on the en route, I'm like, I'll just take her this book. And I read this book, and the exact thing I had read on the plane is the exact oral test that he gives me. And then he says, well, you send us your transcripts. We'll see. You're in on depending on your transcripts. And I'm like, oh my God, how is this going to happen? I know. My dad's like, why don't we just travel to India and go check out the school, because they've given you this. We show up in India a week before school's about to start, and they had a student drop out. My transcripts are not there. And they said, well, we have space. They only have so many spaces in university there. They said, we have the space. You're here. If you want to start with us, you can.
It was just meant to be.
And if you can pay the tuition, whatnot. And I was just like saying, oh my God, I can't believe I got into this med school. Absolutely miraculous. We got the visas, the student visas, all of it miraculously done within the time frame that my dad had to travel. And the miraculous, just the commitment to do something.
And setting an intention and seeing it done.
And
like when I got that invitation, I didn't worry about, where am I going to get 30 days off from a university, to go? And literally I had to go in 1 week. And how was I going to get the visa when you had to go to San Francisco? And that weekend, they came to LA, and my daughter stood in line literally at 5 o'clock in the morning. And she was the last one that they accepted to give us the visa. So it's just like knowing that it's going to happen.
Trusting.
Yeah.
Trusting,
That's it. It's just like
trusting.
I didn't see it. I didn't see obstacles, like whatever they were. It's like, oh, it's not a problem. I can figure out how to get through it. But what I wanted to say about these lands calling us and the importance of people literally listening to those calls and just throwing yourself into the mystery of that journey and not knowing what's going to happen, but just going. It's because everybody knows we have ley lines and there are, energy vortexes that are very, very powerful. And where I was in India, that particular land where Oneness University is set among what they call the mountain of the ascetics. Yes. And the most enlightened people have come from that place. And when I set foot there, I felt the energy. I mean, I felt like I was in a whole nother dimension, but it also felt very familiar, and I understood why I had to go there. And that's also one of the places that, it's documented that when Jesus was doing his travels, that he had gone to that part of India. So what I wanted to say is that whenever these really amazing, powerful people, have set their foot on a piece of land, they leave an energetic footprint. Yes. That's why, you can go to places like the Lourdes, with Mother Mary, because her energetic footprint is still there. And even like here in LA, you can go to the Lake Shrine. And in front of Gandhi's temple there, oh my God, I can feel him. I can just feel his energetic, footprint there.
Yes, was there. And when we were in Egypt last, we got to go into the space where Mother Mary and Jesus Christ hid as when he was a baby. She was in. They built a church around where she hid, and we got to go in, and
you could feel that energy.
We could pray.
We miraculous,
felt the miraculous. And for those miracle makers that might not know what ley lines are, we know in Chinese medicine that there is within the points, regions within the body that connect to the rest of the body and act as points that awaken other senses, our teeth, our hands, our eyes, our feet, reflexology points. All of these can be touched, and they do something to other parts of the body. They can be read for and understood to give the significance in other parts. Well, there are ley lines within the world. The pyramids are the way that they're
powerful vortex.
Right. The way that they're laid out matches the star systems. They also match all the other sacred places, including the Oneness University and including Mount Shasta.
Absolutely. Which brings me to, if maybe he can show the image.
For those that are watching, we are going to share with you this image. If you're not watching, we're going to describe.
It's in the, we're going to show it here, but it's also in the video, Open Up Your Eyes. There are 2 images of the violet flame in the video. We're only going to show you one, but you can check out the video at drparthenia.com
and we'll probably have a little. It's such
we're
going to
show a snippet. Yes.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful thing. I want to show that,
but I want them to see this one. And this one was one of my students, Michael Ray. He's in the video, and I introduced him to the violet flame. And this is interesting. This is in the mountains here in Los Angeles, where he is reciting a beautiful poem to angels. Yes. And the violet flame comes down, and his brother is videotaping it for him, and it shows up. Now, in the other one at Mount Shasta, I had no idea what the violet flame was, nothing when I went. It was a long time ago. And somebody had told me about Saint Germain, and so I thought, okay, we went into a circle. I did the oneness blessing on everybody, and I never liked to take pictures, and I said, why don't we just take pictures in front of the lake? And so I said, everybody give thanks. And I said, okay, thank you, Saint Germain. Would you please give us a sign of your presence? Boom. Everybody looks, and this big eagle comes down from the east. And then he literally dances around us. and then another eagle comes and another one. They form a pyramid. Everybody who's there it's like 12 of us, and they all go, oh my God, look at that. And then they're taking pictures, and this big white column of light comes down as soon as they say, Dr. Grant, you get in front of the camera. This white tunnel of light comes down, and then the violet flame comes down, and everybody's going, oh my God, Dr. Grant, what is this? What is this? And I go, I don't know, and then I'm looking, and then other people get in front of it, and it stays for everybody. So everybody got videotaped in front of the violet flame. I had no idea what it was. I had to go all the way to India to find out what that was.
And Saint Germain is this beautiful ascended master that communicates with the miracle makers.
He gave us the gift of the violet flame, brought it back to us.
And the violet flame has been associated for hundreds of years with healing, with the miraculous.
Transmutation of all of our negative energy and negative karma.
And it's so beautiful that when you go to Mount Shasta or even reciting and asking for a sign, miracle makers ask for signs,
and it's given,
and they are given. You
not only ask but pay attention to the signs.
That's true.
And that's one thing about traveling, because you can your perception. It's like you're so aware when you're traveling because you're not in the same routines and patterns. So all of a sudden, those things almost like are easier to see, these signs or these reflections of the miraculous.
Well, you can get to the point, like most people can't see it with their eyes. They have to capture it on camera because the lenses are more sensitive. But I've gotten to the point now where I can literally see it. I can look at the sun, and another one of my students can actually see it as well. So you can train yourself, like when you call on it, it's there. It's a gift to help us transmute our karma, and Saint Germain is the hierarch for the new golden age of Aquarius, and that gift is designed to help us speed up, our ascension process and to clear out all negative energy. So use it. Call on it and use it. Bathe yourself in it.
I literally thought everyone in the world saw exactly how I see, right?
They don't.
And I thought everyone saw auras, and everyone understood this dense energy around people.
Right.
It took me going to med school and understanding how the teachers and people see there
to
they
had no
get
clue.
that, oh my gosh, this is something really amazing. And I believe we all have the ability. I believe we can all see it. My son has seen angels and connects, and
Jazzy
and Jasmine, and all of them are able to. Part of the opening up your eyes experience, unlocking mysteries within you, within the sacred travel, is also we get a different perspective on the world that we're living in day to day. And you're a filmmaker, and one of your greatest miracles, the most recent, is making this film that you just made.
For sure, with no budget whatsoever, and just this vision, this idea that it was sort of miraculous, the whole piece that rhymes in there.
Yes.
Jason Gamble, I want to give him credit. When I had posted something bragging about somebody else's little 10-minute documentary, he said, Dr. G, you can do something better than that. and if you write something, I'll help you make it happen. And I said, well, okay then. And I sat down to write, and I was thinking it was going to be a treatment, and it came out in rhyme and iambic pentameter. And I called him, and I read it to him, and he went, that's perfect. Don't change a word. Okay, let's make this happen. And, it all started out really nice. And then for some reason, he couldn't do the project, and we lost all the film. And I was like, oh, my God, all this work we did for nothing. But then I said, no, that's not possible. We're going to make this happen. And then I learned to edit. My daughter taught me. I learned to direct and shoot. And I just said, God, guide me, because you gave me this vision. You gave me these words, and I'm supposed to share it. And I'm so passionate about us doing our part to save the water, the air, the food, and raising consciousness about that, and our constitutional rights. And as an educator, all of these things in the video are so important to me, and having young kids participate, everybody volunteering, you guys volunteering, volunteering for free. Everybody just showed up. That is a miracle.
Well, it's so beautiful because we get as miracle makers, one of the things is whatever you give, the seeds that you plant come back to you. And
they do, don't they?
It's so miraculous. We continue to exist no matter what, but we have to continue to participate in this world and take complete responsibility for what's
we're caretakers of this planet.
And as we're already awake, meaning we see the miraculous.
Yes.
We are part of creating the stories and connections.
Yes.
We're part of the process that says, hey, look for the signs.
Yeah.
Your video, and I want to play a little
snippet,
snippet
of
it, and then bring it back to how it's perceived throughout the world in these different speakers and leaders.
What can I say very quickly? It was a miracle to get this hook. Jane Doe wrote the hook, and she was saying at first, you don't need a hook. You don't need any singing in that. Just leave it alone. And then all of a sudden one day she was listening to the intro that I wrote, and she said, I think this needs a hook.
Yeah.
And it just came to her in 2 seconds, and I said, go write it down and record it. So that was a miracle.
So Jane Doe does a lot of work with Lupe Fiasco.
Yes, and she has a single out in Europe, and she's an amazing writer.
She is incredible, and this voice,
and
just lovely, amazing.
And here's little Jasmine Larson, our little angel.
Love lives inside. Open up your mind. Let in the light. Don't close your eyes. The only thing that blinds is living lies. Open up your eyes.
Have we grown blind to seeing chemtrails reflecting the sun, modifying the weather so our kids can't breathe easy when they run, bringing us winter in summer and droughts in fall? Is HAARP being used as a weather weapon against us all as we sit asleep with our eyes wide open, glued to a screen, while millions of children literally disappear from this scene? Sacrifice.
Thank you so much.
That was a nice long clip.
It was brilliant.
Okay.
It starts with Jazzy, and what we saw on screen is this beautiful little girl. We have, she's now 11. She was 10 when she made the video, singing and belting out, "Open Up Your Eyes." And we in the West have so much available to us that the rest of the world doesn't necessarily have. We have the right to speak out. We
need to protect them.
We have the right to know what's in our air and food and what's being created. And the biggest right that this video talks about is sovereignty over our bodies.
To say no.
To say no.
To anything that anyone is trying to force upon us. And I feel strongly, and Australia won the right to get fluoride taken out of the water because of the point that people were being poisoned without their permission.
Yes.
And when you're putting poison in the water without our permission, you're drugging us. Okay, and you're putting poisons in the air through chemtrails, you're poisoning us. And that is unconstitutional. The Fourth Amendment says that we have the right to be secure in our persons. That means our body.
Yes.
So, it doesn't matter that, California is forcing vaccines on our children. We can say no because it's unconstitutional. It's really that simple.
It's so beautiful to really, truly understand this video and the work that you do and the traveling that you advocate and the awakening really comes back to owning your own personal power, expressing that out in the world.
Stop giving it away.
And to really harness it within the rights of the government, within the rights of society, within the rights of the one world community.
Yeah, because the government is here to serve us. You know, they're
Yes.
public servants. And, you know, they exist at the will of the people. And so if we, the people, don't say, oh, look, I have a right to say no to
Yes.
anything that's going to poison my body. I mean, what is wrong with us that we would acquiesce to that?
Yes. One of the things that I think is so important is we forget, and this is why miracle makers, you guys, are so important to learn to understand your power, to really activate and ask for
Assert it.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, you just say no. I mean, look, they've been saying that forever. Just say no to drugs. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, just say no to the government drugging us. Okay.
Yes, the vaccinations, the food changes, and at the end, this video is so beautiful.
There's a
and
call to action.
There is a call to action, and whether you're in this country or any country,
everybody can do it on the local level. What's so brilliant about the anticorruptionact.org is that we have over 12 cities now that have enacted an anti-corruption act in their city at the local level, is that you don't have to go to the federal government. I mean, if the federal government is not, obeying the Constitution, then start, at this level and work your way up.
Yes.
I think that that's the solution.
And miracle makers, it takes little steps. It's
yes.
subtle energy.
Your city,
little steps.
Your community.
Yes, and to really learn how powerful you are.
Yeah, I mean, something as simple as enough people can get together and write letters to the water department and say, you're poisoning us with chlorine and fluoride when you could very easily use ozone and ultraviolet light or MMS, which is being miracle mineral supplement, which is being used in Europe. We don't want that in our water because, our skin absorbs it when we take showers. Instead of, what do? We say, oh, let's go buy some bottled water. Instead of solve the problem.
Right.
Then
put
we
on
just
a filter.
Yeah, or put on a filter when it's like, okay, can we go to the source of the problem and say, look, this is unconstitutional. This is my body. You're subjecting me to poisons and toxins. And you can't tell me that we're not, we're in America. We can clean up the water.
When we travel to these foreign countries and you experience the different flavors in water, when you experience sort of the release of the toxins, the food in Italy, the food in Egypt, the food in India, right off the land, so different.
The air is
so different.
I just came from Scotland, and I was just like every day looking at these clouds, and everything was so clear and beautiful. No GMOs.
Yes.
26 countries have banned GMOs.
Yes.
And I could literally sit and eat the food and the vegetables and go, wow, this feels so good, because my body reacts to GMOs.
Yes. Oh, that's so beautiful. And love to bring you in the conversation, especially with Egypt on your second trip. What was some of the eye-opening moments, something that unlocked within you in that trip to Egypt?
You know what? I'll go out on a limb and say I wasn't much of a believer in past lives per se. It's like I don't mind if someone else says I have a past life with this or that, or you with you, or it's like, well, that's nice,
Yeah.
But I have to say that in going to Egypt, especially this trip that we went on, which was a spiritual adventure, and we did ceremony and we did activation, stuff like that, is that there was an activation of ancient energy and intelligence and wisdom on this trip. And I don't know if I have a specific past life, to a person or a pharaoh or a scribe, whatever it might be, but I definitely feel some sort of past life connection to the Egyptian energy and what they created.
Like you had been there? Did you
like
feel
I
like you had been there?
Yeah. Or that there's knowledge within me of that experience
Of before, and it's so, because we're such a contrast.
Right.
I speak of the past lives, and that's a lot of my work is clearing the subtle energy in order for this body to hold all of the present moment that's possible and to see all of the future trajectories. And so it's so funny that Source brought us together and we had this contract, because we lived in such different
Oh,
realms.
yeah. And what were the
of-
chances?
Yeah, and
right?
what were the chances
There
in
are
our
no accidents.
Yes, and our coming together in itself is a miraculous story in the way that occurred in our lives. Is there one particular moment that you remember that you were, here are all the signs? I know this to be beyond the control of anything here.
You know, we were talking about what's the reflection like. You had powerful reflections when you were traveling, like the eagles coming together, forming the. So
A pyramid.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're in Egypt this last time, and towards the end of the trip, we're on the Afendina, this yacht that we spent 8 days on sailing the Nile, and we're ending our time there. So we're on the boat and we're having these conversations with other, participants on our journey, and it's like, well, what name do you embody, And this other couple went first, and they were talking about, she felt her husband embodied the
Festus. Yes, the god of party and
the
play.
god-
And, yes.
and fertility.
And fertility.
Yeah. And then just as she's saying this one of the staff of the boats comes up and he's holding this huge statue
Of the god that she was speaking of, this exact Bestos. So, I mean, right on cue, as if it was literally
right on cue.
And it was huge and it was magnificent.
And it had a huge heart on them. It was like up because it's the god of fertility. So it was just like we were all like, "Whoa, look at that! That was a beautiful sign." And then just as we were all in amazement that this happened, they didn't turn to conversation. Sarah, who do you think Greg embodies? And she says, Horus. And so we start talking about this, and all of a sudden, this magnificent hawk comes down out of the sky,
Yes.
It's definitely his
lands
symbol.
on the shore, and,
Well,
and
hello.
Horus is the hawk
Hello.
god. Yeah. And
Yes.
So that's your connection.
that was just like, it was such a powerful reflection and a confirmation of these
And you
deeper
can't
energies
say that's a
being explored.
coincidence.
No,
And-
there's no coincidence
Yeah.
at all. That was definitely a reflection.
It was an
Yes.
affirmation.
It was an affirmation, a confirmation,
Yeah.
a demonstration
Yeah.
that this was
Like, hello, pay
hello,
attention.
hello, as our guide Emil always says, hello.
And it's this amazing journey, aha moment. And I know you've had so many aha moments. When did you get your latest aha moment, especially with this video and this?
Well, can I first address the past life thing?
Yes.
Greg, I believe very, very strongly. I've had confirmation of past lives in traveling to sacred
Yes.
places. When I went to Chichen Itza, and unfortunately they don't let you get on top of the pyramid anymore. And
Yeah.
I have a fear of heights, but somehow I went running
Yeah.
up there. Halfway I look down, I start crying. Literally,
Yeah.
I'm like, that helicopter's going to have to come and get me. But and then I start breathing. I go, okay, but you got to go up to the top. And I didn't know why. It was the craziest thing
Yeah.
ever. And I get up to the top. There's no railing or anything. I look down, and I know this place.
Yes.
I've been there. I saw this, vision of the original temples that were there, and I went, oh my God! And as soon as I stepped on the land, I felt like I had come home.
Yes.
It was so familiar. So that's the only way I can explain that there has to be a past life, or even like my connection with you,
Yes.
or Jazzy. Like
Yes.
she's 5 years old when I first meet her at the expo, and she just walks with me, takes my hand, says, "Come and walk with me to feed the horses." And it's like I knew her, she knew me.
Yes.
It was just. When you meet people and your soul just knows them, or you go to places and you go like, this is so familiar. I've been here. What other explanation is there?
It's absolute. And I ran the stairs at Chichen Itza in 1992.
Well, they don't let you do it anymore, but isn't it amazing?
Didn't. It was amazing, and there was a Paradise Cove there, and a part of Chichen Itza that was just amazing. Paradise Island reserve. And in the waters are speaking.
The cenotes.
Yes,
yeah.
the fish, the absolute, like you close your eyes and it's all timeless.
It's magical.
It's magical to have those experiences. And in the pyramids, the awakening came that humanity has done it. And I saw prior to this last trip.
Wait, explain
how
that?
Humanity has already done it, quote unquote, it being there for one another, caretakers of the planet.
There. Okay.
We're already there.
Got
We've
it.
already
Yeah,
awakened.
Jose Munoz says that.
Yes, this was
We have to see that in order for us to manifest it.
Yes.
We have to see it as done.
Already done, and this is what the visions. This is what the guides that came to me
it's
in
the
the
future
pyramids
coming to us.
They showed me parting of the earth and different things emerging to show us our history of the lands, and then
so that we remember.
So that we remember. Shortly coming off that trip, stories came up in Guatemala, the river, the Amazon River. Ancient relics showing up from the ocean, literally things parting and emerging that were like, oh my gosh.
The confirmation.
The confirmation was there. And this last trip we went on, one of the historians, architect that was there proved humanity's existence beyond a particular point just based on the markings.
But isn't it interesting that we have to prove it when we actually know it?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's like if you just trust your instincts and your feelings, you know how you were like questioning the whole, but why do we question past lives when in India they've always believed it? You know, we've been programmed.
We've been programmed, and I think it's so important to be discerning.
Yeah,
miracle makers. I really want to share this because it's the intent of the person that's coming through.
Yeah.
For me, anyone that's had a near-death experience that comes back. Nobody ever says, oh, I want more money, I want more glamorous clothes, I want a bigger house. They come back with this knowing of our oneness and wanting to serve and looking for ways in order to connect to each other. Those that speak of what's important and put it in specific terms for you. They keep saying to you, you're powerful. Yeah. It's within you.
Yeah.
Miracle makers, that's a sign.
Absolutely. Pay attention to the signs.
Pay attention to the signs. And we have just, as we're wrapping up the show about unlocking the mysteries within you and with sacred travel, I want everyone to go to your video.
Oh, yeah.
Just your video.
The easiest way to get it, for sure, is drparthenia.com. The documentary is up there because there's so many Open Up Your Eyes.
Yes.
Yeah, and the video is embedded.
It's embedded in that website, and it opens your eyes up to what's happening
and your
here.
Possibilities and your freedom and owning your power. This time, right? Let's take it back.
Embrace it, embody it.
Yes.
And then I would love for you to give some wisdom. Where would you like people to go after listening to this show in this last minute? What would you like them?
I would like them to go with me and you to Egypt on March 5th through March 18th. We're leading another group, and it's called Old Souls and Miracle Makers, and it's going to be a phenomenal experience. I can't even put it into words, the depth that we go to on this journey and the energies we explore that have changed the earth. Our son who's 9, he knows about we know about the pyramids for so long. It's a chance to go there, and one of the highlights of the trip is at the end of our 2 weeks, we spend 2 hours in private, just our group, in ceremony in the king's chamber. We circle around the sarcophagus, this old coffin. Everyone takes a turn laying down in there, and we chant and om and bring all of our intentions to this person for their transformation. It just is so powerful.
Oh, thank you.
I want people to come with us, and there's spots left on the journey still, so please come with us.
I'm setting an intention.
Wow, it is so powerful. It's unbelievable.
Egypt has definitely been on my list.
It's so beautiful. And I've got gifts for everyone on my website, Dr. Sarah Larson. There are gifts of the last ceremonies that we did. They're on sacred travel and then meditation. I love you all so much, dear Miracle Makers.
We love you.
And thank you, Dr. Grant, for being here.
Thank
you, John, for being our engineer. Beautifully done, Nikki and John.